Hey guys, so today we're having to combine two teas in one video, only because I haven't posted in like a week and I just don't want to waste video space in case something else happens and then I fall behind. So we're combining two food related tea topics into one video as a little treat. The first one is tea about tea. There is a tea reviewer on TikTok called the Queen of Afternoon Tea, and she literally just goes around and reviews afternoon tea. If you guys know what afternoon tea is, it's like a British thing. You get like a little sandwich and like a little sweet treat and some tea. Afternoon tea. Yeah, so it's just like, let me just get some images up. Okay, so you just get like an afternoon tea, you know, and you usually have it on this like thing, and you start with the sandwiches at the bottom and the savory stuff, and then you have some scones, and then you have some sweet treats up at the top, and you have your choice of teas, and you usually have clotted cream and some jam for the scones and like the whole thing, and blah, blah, blah. You guys get the deal. Savories, typically scones, and then treats up top. They've done it the other way around. That's fine. That's the tea. That is the tea. So this is her. Ontario Tea Travels. She's originally from Canada. Ontario, Canada based, self-proclaimed afternoon tea expert, North American. She just reviews teas. I mean, I don't know how else to say this. And here is Cupcake Cafe, where she went to review an afternoon tea. Yeah, award-winning cupcakes, couture cakes, afternoon tea, Maple View Mall, Burlington, Ontario. Almost 1,700 followers. Now, I found her website, this one, and so they have the high tea, which you can book. This is it, adult high tea, includes desserts. She still hasn't changed this, bear in mind, so it includes a chocolate dipped strawberry, scones, cream and jam, tea sandwiches, beverages, and then, yeah, so this is it. And it's 55 Canadian dollars, which is a lot of money, but yeah. So you're expecting big things, okay? Now, this is the OG review that got this woman that owns the Cupcake Cafe heated, okay?
Could this be my worst afternoon tea review yet? The good, the bad, the ugly, and the yummy of afternoon tea, Burlington, Ontario, Canada edition. Yesterday, I had afternoon tea for two at Cupcake Cafe inside the Maple View Mall in Burlington, Ontario, Canada. I will give you my incredibly low...
I feel like typically, if you're going into like a shopping center and getting food there, it's not going to be the highest quality stuff. Like, I bet you can find some gems inside of a shopping center, but it's typically just a quick bite. So this overpriced afternoon tea was bound to be a disappointment.
Star rating at the end. Let's dive into this very disappointing experience. Starting with the good, this will be short and sweet as there was only one good aspect here, and it was that there was real clotted cream served. To me, it tasted like the Blue Label jar, which is called Double English Cream. It was certainly nice to see real clotted cream being served here, albeit there was not enough to cover our scones. On to the bad. This one is also pretty easy because every other aspect of this experience was pretty bad. The food was bad and the service was pretty horrible. For this one, let's start with the price this time. This afternoon tea, which is incorrectly called high tea on their website, which should have been my first clue that this wasn't going to be great, is prepaid online. And
bear in mind, it said it was discounted from 75 to 55, so she's originally charging 75 for this. On the website now, it doesn't do it as like a discount, it just says it's 55, so maybe she just changed it to be 55. Also, that like setup of tea looked so cheap, like just that whole thing, like compared to what I showed you guys, mainly for 55, like, you know, like as compared to these, like this looks so stunning. This looks so good. Like even this looks so good. Looks so good. So good. Her one looked bare. Like it looked kind of bad. Like, doesn't this just look kind of cheap? Yeah.
This is a description of the menu on the page where you book and pay. This becomes relevant later. Thank God I didn't add gratuity and is for this one, let's start with the price this time. This afternoon tea, which is incorrectly called high tea on their website, which should have been my first clue that this wasn't going to be great, is prepaid online and is $55 per person. This is a description of the menu on the page where you book and pay. This becomes relevant later. Thank God I didn't add gratuity beforehand. With the price and menu in mind, let's move on to the tea. We each got to choose a tea from the tea tray. There were 7 options. This is insufficient because there was only one caffeine-free tea. My tea guest doesn't have caffeine, so was it disappointing for her that she had no choice and had to select the peach apricot herbal tea. Not even a rooibos tea is offered for some diversity. In addition, there is not a description, but you can smell the teas. Overall, there needs to be at least 4 or 5 more tea options here, so everyone has some choice when it comes to their tea. I went with Earl Grey, which is no surprise. It was loose leaf and it tasted as it should. We had to ask for milk when none was offered, which for some reason we got steamed milk, which is a little bit weird, and the milk was served in these paper cups. That's not acceptable. Why are there no real milk pitchers here?
And the sachets of sugar, as if you can have like nice sugar cubes and like a metal thing like to go with the teapot and stuff. I don't know, just a paper cup full of steamed milk and some sachets of sugar. Like that's, you know.
Or tea service. Unfortunately, our teapots were served at the same time or about 20 seconds after our food, which I do not like. I prefer to sip a cup of tea for a couple of minutes or a few minutes before the food is presented. Improvements to tea can be made here. Let's move on to the food. For savories, we got the 4 that were listed on the website, which was a chicken salad.
I already watched this video beforehand. I didn't watch the response. I like to sometimes keep a little bit of mystique for myself, just so I don't like snooze off rewatching everything. But from the get-go, when she picked up this bun, it looked so stiff, like a bun that's been out for 4 days is what it looks like. Like, she didn't even have to say that it was stale, because just from the way she picked it up, it had zero movement to it.
For savories, we got the 4 that were listed on the website, which was a chicken salad on a pretzel bun, egg salad on a croissant, a cucumber cream cheese, and I got a tuna melt on a croissant because I don't eat salmon. But my tea guest does, and you can see the salmon on her plate. Overall, the sandwiches were not good. The bread on the cucumber sandwich was dry and stale, and the pretzel bun was way not fresh. I'd say like on day 4, past freshness. The bun itself was huge.
It's the way it like cleanly unsticks. That's when you know something's stale. It's just like it cleanly comes off. Wow. And like just the ratio of the top to the bottom, just zero care put into this for how much money it's being charged.
Eating it open face was a little bit better for a meat to bun ratio. All of these items were only flavored with salt and pepper, so they lacked any flavor really. Very bland except for black pepper. But I tried to eat a few bites knowing I wasn't going to be full in any way if I didn't eat some of these savories. I did not enjoy anything on this tier. However, I'm just one person and this might be right up your alley. Onto the scones, we each got 1 plain scone and a shared pot of strawberry jam and the clotted cream that I mentioned.
Because like it'd be one thing if it was just like a set amount that you pay regardless of how many people come to the tea, right? Because it was 55. So if that was just 55 and like as many people as you want can come and you guys can just like share. But you have to pay per person, right? And then everything just gets cut in half. To have to share the clotted cream and the jam, which they've put about a tablespoon of, it's crazy because she paid 110. So each person paid 55 and that is your share of jam for 55 each.
They looked ridiculous on these huge dinner-sized plates. If you followed me for a while, you know I prefer when 2 scones are served per guest, and at this price point there definitely should have been 2 scones. The scone itself was pretty dry, but was saved by the cream and jam, and it was edible. Since our server never returned to check on us, I went up to the counter to ask for some butter. Since we didn't have enough cream, I was given some butter packs, which once I got warmed in my hand, I was able to add to my scone. The scone wasn't the worst. My tea guest thought hers was much too dry. Maybe I got lucky and got a better scone, or maybe she's too picky. Either way, mine was edible. And then on to the top tier, the sweets here were also bad. We each got a petite choux and a macaron. Again, looking very sad on these huge dinner plates. At this price point, there should be at least 4 sweets served. And if you recall the menu posted from earlier, there was supposed to be a chocolate-covered strawberry here too, which was missing. Since the server never returned to our table to check on us, I went up to the counter to ask about the missing strawberry. We were told we were given an extra savory substitution for the missing strawberry, which wasn't true because we were served the savories as per the menu. And at a place called Cupcake Cafe, how do you not serve a cupcake? I decided we needed another sweet, and we needed a
like realistically the cupcake should come, at least one to share, should come with it. They should call it Cupcake Cafe. But I think somewhere it was said that they don't serve the cupcake because they know that people are just going to buy it separately, so they just make more money from not putting it there, because then when you are having your afternoon tea, you look over, you see the cupcakes, and then you might be inclined to buy one.
Cake because it was my tea guest's actual birthday. I chose the double chocolate fudge because we always need some chocolate at tea time, which cost an additional $4.25. Why wouldn't they have just given us a cupcake for the missing strawberries? Anyway, I split the cupcake for us to share, then we proceeded to eat our sweets. Nothing tasted good. I was shocked the cupcake was so dull, since cupcakes appeared to be their specialty. This sweet showing was incredibly disappointing. The service here was also a bad aspect because it was non-existent, as you've probably picked up on. The server never came to check on us, never asked if we needed our teapots refreshed. It was not a busy day with at least 3 staff working. Very disappointing to add to a large list of bad things going on here. For the ugly aspect, there is nothing unique or nice about this venue or ambiance. I guess you cannot expect too much when you're having afternoon tea in a mall. And finally, the best bite here, I guess, had to be the scone, since the only thing that I actually fully ate, and with the cream and butter, it wasn't so bad for me. My tea guest, again, was not a fan. So for $55 per person, this afternoon tea experience is very overpriced. It had very few redeeming qualities, and I would not recommend this venue to you. However, I did speak to another patron who said that her cappuccino was delicious. So maybe this is more of a coffee lover's cafe. My queen of afternoon tea rating is 0.5 out of 5 stars. They should probably stop serving afternoon tea. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Right, so someone said, yeah, in the UK that wouldn't fly. Here you'd pay half the price and get double the amount of sweet treats, sometimes 2 scones each, or 1 very large one, and finger sandwiches, but more of them. Milk. I guess there's more. In the UK, literally any tea room, a lot of cafes, you only really get 25 per person and upwards at posh hotels, restaurants. Has anyone watched the Cupcake Cafe response yet? We will. Meanwhile, I can get better afternoon tea than that for 20 quid in the UK. Watching this as a British person is pure pain. Why is the milk being served in a paper cup? Came for the tea, stayed for the tea. Do I like tea? No. Do I live in Canada? No. Did I watch this whole thing? Yes. The price was astonishing. Not getting a cupcake on the dessert tier at a cupcake cafe is crazy. Who made that decision and for why rationales? Yeah, the price point in paper cups is wild. How did they make an egg salad look dry? And I actually liked that comment because yeah, there should be nothing dry about an egg salad. It should be moist. I know people don't like that word, but it should be moist and the bread should be juicy and there should be nothing dry about it. That's one sandwich that just shouldn't be dry. So here is the explanation from the Cupcake Cafe. They actually didn't have a presence on TikTok before this, and that was like the first video on the page.
So by now you've probably seen the TikTok video that's gone viral with the 1-star scathing review of our high tea. And it made us
It was actually a 0.5 star out of 5, but that's besides the point.
sad too. But what we didn't realize until about midnight last night was that it was actually posted by a competing business in Kitchener, which honestly made the entire situation laughable. Now what's not
Even if, and this has been disproved, that she doesn't like own her own tea place, but she does alter her voice, I believe, for anonymity, but so she could own her own tea place, but she just reviews tea places. That's what she does. And she gives a bunch of them 5 out of 5. So even if she was a competitor, she still gives other places 5 out of 5, and we can see with our own 2 eyes that there are issues for the price point. So that doesn't land with me personally.
is getting your friends and followers to send us hundreds of 1-star reviews, nasty emails, and DMs telling us to go kill ourselves.
No one got their followers and friends to do that. People just decided to do that out of their own free will, which happens on the internet.
Never okay, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later. But let me start off by saying that we take our reviews really seriously. I said in my stories yesterday that all of our reviews, whether they be good or bad, I take as an opportunity for feedback and improvement. So I'm going to start off by actually addressing this video and telling you where we made a couple of mistakes and where we can improve. Starting off with the scone, Devonshire, cream, and jam presentation. Now, normally when we serve our jam and scones for one, we serve it in the smaller white dishes that you saw in the video. When there is 2 or more people, we always serve them in slightly larger gold dishes, which as you couldn't see, were not in the video. That was our mistake. The person who was prepping it must have forgotten and didn't give the right amount of cream or jam. Either way, it's okay. It was a small mistake, and you can always ask for more cream and jam. That's what I don't understand. The second thing in this
Couldn't have asked because, like she said at the end of the video, the service was so shit, no one came back to check on them. So she had to go up and ask for it.
is yes, the chocolate dip strawberry was missing from their top tier. Now, in the morning when we were looking at the strawberries that we had purchased just the night before, we noticed that they weren't in perfect healthy condition. You know, sometimes strawberries can kind of start to get mushy and turn overnight. So we decided not to serve it because quality and freshness is important to us, despite what the video may say. And when we served the tea, the staff member who was serving it kindly asked the guests if they would like a replacement for the chocolate dip strawberry, if they would like a replacement dessert, and they actually politely declined. So there was an opportunity there for them to receive a substitute dessert because, like I said, we were missing the chocolate dip strawberry, but that was something on our end that we made a mistake.
So this is their version of the story, that they asked if they wanted to substitute, but in the original review she said that they said, when she asked them about like where's the strawberry, they said that they had actually given her an extra savory thing, but then she said everything in the savory list that they got was already listed on the website. So 2 very different stories, and I mean, if I was to believe someone, it wouldn't be this person, considering the beginning of this video was already just BS.
Again, quality is really important for us, and we're open and transparent with our clients, so if something is ever not perfect, we just tell them, and we hope they'll be understanding and accept a substitution. Now, addressing the whole stale bread concept, that was obviously totally inaccurate. Here's actually the receipt of the bread that was purchased that very morning. So if it was indeed stale, which it was not, that's something that we're going to have to take up with our suppliers.
Then take it up with them, because I, looking at that, could tell everything was stale. So if I can tell through a camera something's stale, and the person eating it saying it's stale, then it doesn't really matter when you bought it, because it could still come stale to you guys, even if you bought it that morning. So do check with your supplier, please, ASAP.
You can't get stale bread that's been purchased that day. Aside from that,
so if it is stale, we'll have to check with the supplier, but it is, well, like impossible to get stale bread if you buy it that morning. So like, what is it? Which is it?
everything else in that video was kind of just a matter of opinion. And again, another business just trying to slander another business, which is something that I don't quite understand, because with our tea, for example, Andrew, who's the owner-operator of Tea at the White House, which is about 15 minutes away, probably even less, him and I, technically speaking, have competing businesses, but we have always supported each other. And in fact, we purchased all of our teas from Andrew at Tea at the White House. So that's just proof that 2 businesses can, you know, coexist in the same space, minutes apart from each other, and we're equal.
It's just the complete lack of accountability. There is no way that you could criticize us fairly. It must just be because you're jealous of us. And if you were actually a good business, you would just give us a 5-star review, despite our stuff being overpriced, because that's just what you should do as a competing business. Like, no, that's just not how it works.
Supportive of each other's businesses. We both have thriving businesses and our own clientele, and we share a lot of the same clientele, and that's okay. There's more than enough room to go around. Now, what I do really want to take the time to address, which is the more serious part of this video, is all of the online threats, DMs, and 1-star reviews that we've been getting from people who have
Putting like death threats and 1-star reviews in the same bundle just makes me completely not respect what you're saying. Getting death threats is one thing, right? And once again, that's not something someone can control. They're allowed to give People are allowed to criticize other people, and people are allowed to give 1-star reviews of a business without then being guilted and guilt tripped with, oh, well, I'm getting death threats now. When you open a business, you're open to criticism. That's it. And some people will take it too far and give death threats. We know that. We've been on the internet for ages. People are allowed to criticize and give 1-star reviews without the fear of then being guilt tripped into feeling bad about these death threats that we haven't really seen. And then also putting death threats and like, what does she say? It was like death threats, something, and 1-star reviews, putting those under the same list or like the same umbrella of things. Like, that's not the same thing. A death threat and a 1-star review is not the same thing, and it shouldn't be put under the same umbrella.
I want to take the time to address, which is the more serious part of this video, is all of the online threats, DMs, and 1-star reviews that we've been getting.
Threats, DMs, generic, like DMs, what kind of DMs? Threats, DMs, and 1-star reviews. That's not like the more, that's just not serious enough. I don't understand what's going on.
From people who have never ever even set foot into our cafe, nor have they ever tried any of our desserts. And that's just not fair. And on a deeper and more serious level, threats to our staff and to me and to family are absolutely inexcusable.
Yes, obviously don't get people involved that are not involved in the situation, but we say that every single time. And once again, you should be allowed to criticize someone without the fear of, oh, well, someone is now sending them a death threat. That's just kind of, people on the internet are crazy, and that's just what's going to happen, but it shouldn't stop you from being able to express a critique or a 1-star review of a business.
Not telling somebody to go kill themselves and bullying them online is never okay. And if you're going through something...
So then she obviously just goes through the like trigger warning, suicide and depression. To review, a high T review from a competitor that turned into a day of bullying, harassment, and telling me to go kill myself, suicide hotline, and the cyberbullying campaign. Right, and that's one way to not take accountability, really. I mean, the whole video was just excuses, accusing the other person of lying, and then speaking about kind of depression and suicide for the last 2 minutes. Someone said, I just saw Queen of Afternoon Tea's response, and to be honest, I don't feel like it's slander at all. If you have a business, you have to be open for reviews, even when almost everything in her experience. I hate that it won't, like, in the comments, it won't just show the next comment right after. Okay. We understand the point though. 20,000 likes. Someone said, I hope you're doing okay. Genuinely, with that said, I have eyes. I saw the bread. It was stale. Valid. Let me give that a like. I'm sorry, but the price that was charged for what was served is still insane to me. How could they have asked your service for additional items if they weren't checking on their table? Your vibes are rancid. You can't get stale bread that was purchased the same day. Yes, you can. There's no way to tell if that bread was from that receipt. Also, the bread could be sold stale or sat and dried out for hours. Yep. You can always ask for more. Who would she ask? The waiter that never came back. Girl, if I were you, I feel the better business move would be to listen, improve, and invite her back to show her how good it can be. This just made it worse. I'm sorry. Exactly. Like, why couldn't she have just said, you know what? Yeah, our bread was a bit stale that day. I'm not really sure what happened. I'm checking in on it. I'm going to have good strawberries next time. And then literally invite her back. And the great PR here would be she would come back and you would give her this like impeccable service. And even if you literally never give anyone else that service in your life, you get that like redemption arc, right? And then I guess she just posts a few other TikToks from that point onwards. And they get a bunch of views, but I think comments have been turned off on those. So, you know. And then after that, the Tea Travels person isn't really doing drama, just reviewing other places and just on with their travels. I'm both the queen. I adore you in these videos. They can never make me hate you. I want to see your Keith Lee collab. Yeah, so obviously just onwards and upwards. This was the Cupcake Cafe tea on tea. But this is cake tea. So kind of similar. And I thought it'd just go really well in the same video. So we have this cake maker on TikTok called Ryan, who has 300,000 followers, 25 in New York City, and makes cakes. As you can see, one of his pinned videos has 8.6 million views. That is the video that we shall be speaking about. So he just makes cakes and they look stunning and I'd love to try them. Here is Quality Meats New York City, which is the restaurant being talked about. This is their Instagram, 26,000 followers, downtown steakhouse in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. Apparently it's quite expensive, like just like a pretty expensive place, but they look good. Like I would love to go there. It looks great. Yeah, I actually want to see how much stuff costs. Let me see the menu, because I know New York City can be a little bit crazy, just like London back when I lived in London. So cocktails, 19, 20, yep, these are London prices. Caviar sliders, 18. Oysters, price per piece, that's amazing. Salads, 17, 20, 20. Yep, that feels very London to me. And then appetizers in that 17 to 50 range. A lobster toast. And then we have the meats. Yeah, this feels, yep. Okay, expensive place. As a steakhouse would be. Let's actually show you guys the making of the cake, because it was his birthday and he was making this cake. Ultimate funfetti cake part 2, and this is just how he like made it. It looks stunning. It's so many layers. It's massive. It looks amazing. It took so much work. You can tell there's like meringue on top and all sorts of different amazing things. Okay, so this is how he made it, and he puts the recipe down. And so this is the OG video that he posted.
So this is the story of how a restaurant in New York City ended up eating half of this incredible birthday cake that I made for my friend for his birthday. And that took 5 or 6 hours of my time at least, and I would value at several hundreds of dollars. So for context, I make a birthday cake for all of my friends for their birthdays. As you can see, they're not small. This is a massive cake. At least
originally I said it was for his birthday, it was for his friend's birthday. So that's obviously a slight difference.
Twice the size of my head. You know, it's massive, it's huge. So we went to the restaurant. I obviously hand the cake to the hostess. They take it into the back. We have a great dinner. Then it's cake celebration time. They bring out the birthday cake, put a candle in it. We all sing happy birthday in it. That's amazing. Again, you can see how big this cake is compared to my friend. So it's not small. And I actually had called the restaurant ahead of time to ask if I could do the cake cutting instead of them, but they said that was a safety hazard. So they ended up...
I do find it a bit ironic that like you're going to a steakhouse where you're getting steak knives, which are pretty sharp, but you're not allowed to cut your own cake. Bit weird. Bit strange.
Taking the cake back into the kitchen to serve it. Now, these are some of the slices that we were served of the cake, and you can really see here just how thin the cake slices were. We're looking at a few millimeters of thickness. So just doing some rough estimation, there were 12 of us at the dinner. If we're each served a slice about this size, or maybe it's a little bigger, that's going to be about half that of that massive cake. Definitely not all the cake was served to us. And so then at the end of the dinner, when we had asked our waiter where the cake leftovers were, we're expecting them to bring out the remaining half of the cake. But instead, they just say that there's no cake left. So the only explanation is that this high-end New York City Midtown steakhouse took the cake back into the kitchen, cut all of us meager slices of cake to eat, and they had just eaten the rest of it for themselves, which I sort of understand. It's a long shift. They deserve maybe...
I sort of understand it's crazy. Do not let people walk all over you just because you think that they deserve something, right? They work a job and they get paid for that job, and it might be hard and it might be underpaid, but that's the job that they have, okay? That does not mean that they deserve your cake because they had a long shift. Mainly without asking you. If you had offered one thing, if they had asked, awkward but another thing. They didn't ask, they just took it. They don't deserve it. Like, they don't just deserve this cake because it's not theirs, it's not their property.
A little bit of a sweet treat at the end of their night, but when the cake is my hard work and my friend's birthday present that I gifted him, it's definitely a little disappointing when my friend is just left with the memory of one of these slices that he ate at the end of his dinner and can't really take home what he should have deserved, the rest of the half of the cake. And my poor friend, who has the worst of luck, this actually happened to him last year too at his birthday, except that restaurant, a different steakhouse, only took 2 slices of the cake instead of half. So definitely worse than last year, and let's see if it happens again. But I don't know, drop in the comments what your opinion is of this.
People are so entitled to other people's stuff. I could never imagine doing this. I don't care how tired I am, how long the shift's been. I cannot imagine daring to do this. But people are so entitled. Someone said I would follow up with the manager on this. Eating a birthday cake for 3 days in a row is the whole point of a birthday cake. The fact that they assumed you wouldn't be taking it home is insane. Slices that small, they were eating it before serving your table. I think the part that seals the deal is how stingy your slices were. Like, at least if they gave them regular big sizes and there was like 1 slice left and they all shared it, and they said, yeah, this is all the cake that we gave out to you guys. We cut it into 12. But they like cheeky stole 1 slice. I would have maybe forgiven that. How is cutting your own cake a safety hazard if you can cut up your own steak? As someone who is a restaurant manager, this is so far from okay. This is theft. I think you guys are too calm for this. You don't have a mean friend in your group. That's what I thought. They needed one mean person in that friendship group to say, where the f*** is the cake? That's it. Like, where is the cake? It's mine. This is theft now. Bring me a manager. Like, we need one Karen in this friendship group. Because everyone's too nice. What do you mean they deserve a sweet treat at the end of the shift? They don't. And if they do, they need to get their own sweet treat. And see, this is the part 2 that I showed you guys with the making the cake. And they said, the restaurant did what? Can confirm it tasted delicious. I worked your friend's birthday party that night. The restaurant workers would have had to see me outside. This is insane. I'm so upset about the restaurant doing this. I've thought about it a few times today. Please send that restaurant a bill and update us. Drop name of restaurant now. It's Quality Meats. And then this is part 2, which is an update on what has happened because he's now heard back from the restaurant, which is interesting.
I have an update about the cake that I made for my friend. Over the past 2 days, I've received 3 different calls from people within the management of the restaurant. They looked into the security footage within the kitchen, and they did confirm that a portion of the cake they neglected to give back to my friends and me as our rightful cake leftovers, and that they most likely forgot about it and that it was left in the kitchen. They were super kind, and they offered a free dinner for 2 back at their restaurant to make up for, obviously, this whole situation. So obviously, it's disappointing that we didn't get our leftovers, but most likely what happened, and I do have to think, is that it was a busy Saturday night, and there's a lot of things that are going...
No. From the security footage, what they saw was a bunch of people gathering around and having slices of this cake. And they said that they just missed it. It just went somewhere. But you literally asked for the cake and they said, no, that's it. We cut all the cake up. So how could they have misplaced it? They literally actively said, no, we cut all the cake up. They obviously didn't. Like, they were actively lying. It's not like an omission. It's not a forgetfulness. No, they said, that's the cake that we cut up. There's no more cake. And obviously there's cake because they ate it. And I bet that's what you can see on the security footage. But the manager doesn't want to throw the staff under the bus. So they're just saying, oh, they just went missing somewhere. What, you just like threw it away? You could have at least called them. Did something
in the restaurant, and unfortunately my cake just ended up on the chopping block at the end of the night. So at this point, I think let's take a chill pill on all of the Instagram comments on that poor restaurant's Instagram page. I don't really think they meant it or deserved it. There's plenty of people at that restaurant just trying to make a living like all of us, and they've admitted it was a mistake, and I think we all make mistakes, so I can live with it.
You're so sweet. Please let me handle this for you. Yeah, like, we just need to bring someone else on this because you guys are too kind. They are lying, but you're so sweet. Lol, at Quality Me's doing damage control. No, your waiter said there wasn't any cake left, so how could they forget? Absolutely not. They ate the cake. You need an aggressive friend. A free dinner for 2 seems kind of cheap for the 5 to 6 hours that you put into it. That's what I was thinking as well. Like, I think they should invite everyone back for free. Free cocktails included. It being forgotten doesn't explain the sliced portions before this. For 2, take back everyone and demand it be paid. I worked in a restaurant for over 15 years. They did not lose your cake or forget about it. The staff wanted to eat that cake. That's what I think anyway, 2. So let me know what you guys think about the first story with the tea and the second story with the cake. Or anything in between. So subscribe, hit the bell icon for engagement. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.